Okay, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the March 14th Finance Committee meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Member Cahill, Member Chaplin,
Here.
Member Childress, Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans, here, Member Galassi, Member Garcia, here, Member Guston, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozag, Member Rutledge, Member Swarzy, Member Tornatore, Member Yu,
Here.
and Member Zay.
Okay, there has been a request to allow remote participation from Member Galassi under Section 7A of the Open Meetings Act. If a quorum of the members of a public body is physically present as required by Section 2.01, and a majority of the public body may allow a member of that body to attend the meeting by other means if the member is prevented from physically attending because of personal illness or disability, employment purposes of the business of the public body, or a family emergency. Is there a motion to allow Member Galassi? Motion by Member Cahill, second by Member Zay. All in favor? Opposed? Welcome, Member Galassi. And with, is she on yet? She's not on yet. Okay, when she comes in, she'll be part of our meeting. With that, we're going to move right into our presentations. And this morning we have Darlene Rossetti from the Regional Office of Education with her ARPA request. Morning, Darlene.
Thank you all for allowing me to be here this morning and talking to you about an additional funding support for our work-based learning program. We're really been excited about this program, and I want to let you know we started this program in January of 2021, and you know what happened right after.
Darlene, excuse me, could you come over by the microphone just to make sure we get it on?
Thought my voice was a teacher voice and it would be loud and carrying, but that's okay. No. So we started this in January of 2021, right before COVID. Since then, and even if you look at our very first slide, we have some great partnerships. You, of course, are one of our partnerships. I see Greg Badalov in here too, been a great supporter of helping us with gathering businesses and all of that, the College of DuPage, of course. So we want to continue, with this momentum. Next slide, please. We've always had a vision for this. I will tell you this, I've been 30 years with the Regional Office of Education. We've been working on this for 30 years to get apprenticeships, of bringing the business world together with the education world on behalf of both businesses and behalf of our students. And so it's been a long haul to try to make this happen. And things just, there's a lot of reasons why it never worked. We weren't speaking the same language. There were just differences, resource challenges. And so no matter how hard we tried, districts could do this alone by themselves, one by one by one. Businesses could do it alone, one by one by one. But it wasn't until more recently when I think some things really changed. I think a mindset of parents and students changed. I think there was a recent article about on the Chicago Tribune about skipping college, and it talked about how young people today are much more pragmatic. They don't want that debt from college. They recognize there's a pathways to licensure certification that could also, lead them to a productive life. So we've seen that change kind of in mindsets, that not every child has to go to college, not everyone, they can still have a good life. So I think that's out there as well, though we certainly support every child going to college if they so choose, but there's other opportunities, right now. I think that was a big factor in the change. I think another big factor that changed things was a regional approach. There was never any glue to kind of keep everyone together, even though we tried, civic leaders or business leaders. There was never any real glue to try to, pull this whole piece together. And once we tried a regional approach through the Regional Office of Education, and Dr. Karen Sullivan, once we started this, retired superintendent from District 204, knows all of the superintendents. She became a great liaison to the superintendents to begin out there to get them involved, to what are we trying to do? What's different now? That kind of a thing too. So this whole regional approach I think is really part of the success that we have had. In that 21, we started like with 5 kids and 3 manufacturers. We started with manufacturing and now we moved into IT. We have some other pathways that we're also looking at, but we saw some definite success, you know, even with those 5 students, though very, very small. So we knew a regional approach. We knew there was a different mindset. And we also, and I think what's key to this particular program, very key to this program, is that intermediary. I brought up, it was been challenging for the last 30 years. So one of the big reasons was that business didn't speak the language of education, education didn't speak the language of business. And utilizing a intermediary, I think, was absolutely key to someone that spoke both languages, that could bring both sides together at the table with us there with them. So DuPage ROE is the lead partner. Our contracted intermediary is a company called GPS. They have years of experience, and you'll see as we move along. So our vision is here. We've stayed strong with it. The next we have strong goals as well too. And I want to emphasize one of the goals that I think is absolutely key to this. And that is the issue of, if you look at the very first bullet point, diversity, access, and equity. Now, you all know that we have WorkNet, right? And they're do a fabulous job. One of the problems, they don't necessarily serve youth in school. They have some connection to out of school youth. And I will say the other problem that's more at the federal level is there's a lot of restrictions. So it's very restricted to get students into apprenticeships. Part of it is they have to take tests, they have to be low income, they have to be this, which excludes a lot of students that may not meet that criteria. So this particular program, I think, has the absolute benefit of including every student, you know what, in every one of our high schools in DuPage County. Not only that, is we have control over it. We're not having to, you know what I mean? We don't have to adhere to the federal requirement. With the state requirements. We have control over, the work that we're doing here in DuPage County with a great deal of accountability as well. So again, this is definitely our goal here, right here, again, with a very strong access on equity and access to every student, and certainly with looking for diversity as well too, and making sure all students are included. I would like to say, if you go to the next slide as well, we have 13 high school districts in DuPage County. Currently, right now, we have 9 of the 13 participating in this, and Dr. Sullivan is continuing to work on that particular piece. So we're going strong here. We're going strong. We continue to move forward. As I said, COVID certainly challenged us, but we continue to see, and we'll get to some of the numbers in just a minute. But you can continue to see us building and being sure that we'll have every single high school in DuPage County. The next slide just kind of shows our some of our businesses that we have. And in talking to Dr. Sullivan yesterday, we have probably about 45 that we're working currently with businesses in DuPage County in the last 2 years. And we have 45 on the waiting list. They're looking for students. So we know that there is a momentum here right now. We know that there is a formula for success here right now. And we just want to continue along with our pilot to make sure that we have the data, we have the numbers to continue to move it forward so that we can get within perhaps the next 2-3 years to sustainability. We do not want this to be long-term. We're going to come back to you like every year. Hey, can you help us with this? We really want to build sustainability, but we need to build their numbers up. And as I said, we've had some challenges with COVID and doing all this as well. So, but this is we wanted to invite business leaders today here to kind of talk about it as well too. They've had a good experience. And if you go to the next slide, there's some great quotes. They have had a good experience with their students, which I think which is great. And but we didn't want to take them away from their jobs today. So we thought, what, we'll handle this. So, so it's been great. So far, so good. The next piece, and I'm going to ask Dr. Sullivan if she wants to come up and just very briefly, she works really directly with our GPS education partners. If you go to the next slide, she works really close with them. And I just want you to just kind of take a look at
There's a lot in this slide, so hopefully you have an opportunity to look at it. But GPS is a not-for-profit organization who has a long history in Wisconsin and Minnesota and some other states. Have been helping us out for the next couple of years, really working directly with businesses, getting the businesses ready for what it's like having a student there. Then also helping with the student side, what they do, applications with the students, they do resume building, they do all of those pieces so that students actually apply as they would being any other kind of employee. All of our students are paid for their time. So they're being paid as well as getting their credentials, and our, the goal of GPS is then to move those students wherever they want to go. This slide really talks about, Darlene mentioned, not all the students go to college. And when we looked at our first year, which the end of last year would have been our first full year of implementation, we had about a third, a third, and a third. A third went direct hire. A third went into apprenticeships. And a third of them went on to four-year universities for degrees, but all of them had opportunities with their employer to either come back. We had the kids who went to four-year college, the employers say, we want you to be, this will be your internship in college already. So kids are going to college as a freshman, already have their internship opportunity. We've had kids go into Project Higher Ed, which is the apprenticeship program at COD. Our ultimate goal would be for kids to get 1 year of that out of the way while they're in high school, then go into COD, have only a year left of their apprenticeship, all the while being paid for, no tuition for them, everything paid for by the company. So we're in a third, and we had some kids who went direct hire. Their employers liked them so much, they put them in as direct hire. One of the students I found out about the other day that came out of Lake Park High School is now, after a year, going into some more training that the company's paying for. So these are high demand careers that kids are really, have a great opportunity for these students. And we have, as Darlene said, more companies interested than we do. We need to generate some more students. I'm going to work on those other districts, but GPS is really the glue that's kept it together. They do 360 reviews with the students and the employers. They do a lot of employer recruitment. These are all things that schools want to do and the businesses want to do, but don't have the bandwidth to do unless they have someone like this who can help them.
I just want to say one thing. It was not that long ago. I think it was late fall of 2022. And I was actually in a meeting with some county board folks and some finance here in the county. And it was a day that students were shadowing the county board members. And they were in this meeting along with the county board members. And I remember talking to one of the students and saying this was an AP student, one of our high schools. And I said to that student, I said, hey, so where are you going on to college and what are you doing? And she was like, you know what? I really don't know yet. And I says, well, haven't you been exposed to, kind of career pathways? Not so much. The person next, who was a finance person from the county, basically said, I have 4 children and I wish, I was talking a little bit about career pathways and opportunities and apprenticeships. And this parent of 4 children basically said gee, I wish I had something like this. So we know that this is really important. And I'm going to say something. If we do this right in DuPage, it will go throughout the rest of the state. I know it will. And that's definitely going to be one of our next steps, because it can work for the DuPage Regional Office of Education in DuPage County. It's going to work in Madison County. It's going to work in Monroe County. And so that's the long-term goal as well too. But we continue to need to build our numbers to continue to build this, but we know that we've got a formula definitely for success here. The next, and I'm almost done. The next slide just kind of shows you that where the kids go. Back up, could you go to one before that? Just kind of shows you the kids get opportunities, to they get inducted into the business, and they're doing skill building at this time. They're getting on the job training right now to build their skills. This isn't, they're just not sitting in an office stuffing envelopes or doing stuff like that. They're actually working in the job, as well. So first semester business induction, second semester, the student engagement. And then as Dr. Sullivan said too, then it looks at where are they at, you know, and as she mentioned too, direct hires going out to technical schools and others as well too. And finally too, here's our numbers in the very last slide. And you can see we have a total of 43 that we are currently working with, both in manufacturing and IT. We have another 45 on the waiting list of businesses. So we continue to want to work with our schools. It's been a little bit of a slow go with our schools, partly because of COVID, partly because of bringing them up, academic achievement, loss of learning, all that other kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So, but we're working very strongly. We're beginning to meet regularly with our superintendents all the time. So what we're asking for then is 1 year of funding at $250,000. And basically that pays for, we have staff, some staff that that help to make the connections into the schools, like Dr. Sullivan, and also to GPS, which is the major part of the, of the funding. We do have some funding in there for transportation because we don't want that to be a burden. So if the school cannot provide that for them too, we don't want that to be a burden. So that's pretty much the overall goal. So we'd very much appreciate it. We do think that this is, I said, a very successful model. We've seen some great results and would very much appreciate your support. Are there any questions?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Member Ozog and then Member Guston.
Thank you. First of all, I have two fast questions. Do you have any tie-in with the Technical Center of DuPage?
Yes, we do. It's been a slow go. It's been a very slow go, but we continue to meet. As a matter of fact, Dr. Sullivan is meeting with Mr. Zimmerman, the principal of the school. We like that tie-in. Part of one of the issue has been manufacturing really important in DuPage. We started with manufacturing. TCD does not have a manufacturing program.
Yeah, so that would be, but you are
So
working
that
with
is,
them,
yep.
just in terms of the other
Yeah,
things.
but
that
we
they do.
we see them as a critical part. As long
Okay,
as
and
well
my
as-
next question, you may or may not have an answer for, but you talked about kids going to four-year colleges, internship lined up. That's great. Any idea if they're paying these students for internships?
Yes.
They
Right,
are.
in this program?
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
being
that's
paid.
great.
All of these are paid.
Oh, that's
All
why
paid
they
apprenticeships.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome.
Thank you, Member Ozog. Member Guston.
This is phenomenal. I'm telling you, the businesses have been looking for this. Kids have been looking for this. We have kids that are not on the track for college and they've been lost in the system. And so doing this and moving this forward, I think is a wonderful, wonderful partnership between the schools and the businesses, and it'll really help the kids, along with the fact that's going to help businesses who are very, very shorthanded right now when it comes to employee base. It doesn't matter if it's a young person employee base or an older person employee base. There's just no employees out there. So I think this is a very, very positive thing moving forward. The 250,000, that is just going to be the GPS membership. And then what does the other balance of it go to?
So it's the GPS, where it's working with their team. They have a whole team that put together all the data. So we have good data because we want to make sure. It's the whole point of this, to have really strong data so we can build the sustainability model. So it really does go for that. It's that connection there too. There's staff at the Regional Office of Education that, are working in the schools then, with that counselor. See, it's this regional approach because not one school can do it by themselves with one business. One business can't do it, it's just inefficient. It's an inefficient model as well. So it's really having that team here. So ROE staff that are out there, as well as I mentioned, to transportation, to make sure that that's in there. Supplies, making sure that students have everything that they need, to get there. So that's the total. But the majority of it, I guess I want to say about 150,000 of it goes right to GPS.
Okay. And then also we had years ago, the Washburn Trade School. I don't know if you remember it. I'm kind of aging myself, but that really did also help with students being able to get into the trades.
Yes.
Is there any conversation or relationship with the unions? Because they do quite a bit. Although theirs have been falling too in numbers on their internships, or is this? there's none of that.
Our office has always had a very strong relationship and partnership with IBEW and some of the other unions as well too, particularly in the trades. We recognize that this can be another career pathway. We will continue to build on our pathways as well to continue to have those conversations. As I said, we're just kind of starting off during COVID on top of it. But again, we want to continue to build, and that I know that my successor, who is here in the room, Amber Quirk, is very committed to this project as well too. And she will be working with those trades as well as we continue to move this forward.
Great. I think this is a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Guston, Member Desart.
Thank you. I applaud you. I think this sounds like a wonderful program, especially for those students who don't see themselves going through a four-year program. It just seems like a wonderful, wonderful program. So thank you. I have two questions. One is for Nick. I'll get to that in a second. But first of all, what is the reluctance of the schools, the high schools in DuPage County that are not involved in the program?
I think, and I'll ask Dr. Sullivan as well too. I think it's been, during COVID, it's been very difficult. Lots on their plates as well too. I think that's it somewhat. I think there has to be some, some greater organization, as well too. And I would also say there's a few barriers, like with anything, like if we're taking a kid here, might there be an issue? Are you taking a class away from me as the teacher? So we need to work through some of those things, but we also have where, as I said, we have 9 of the districts involved. And as things continue, as they see the success of this and they see that they're building, of this, and the kids coming back to school with even better skills and things like that. That's why I think we're very confident that this can, continue to move forward. And I want to add one other thing. It's for students. We don't discourage anyone from going to college. We continue to push that. You know what? Get into COD. So we go get that credential license. Continue to build. The one big advantage also has been the fact that many of you that are parents here, and your student doesn't, your child doesn't know where they want to even go in their future. This allows students to kind of like, oh no, that's not working for me. So parents saving a lot of money as well too, because their kids not changing major 4 or 5 times, so it exposes students to different type of opportunities as well.
Great, thank you. My next question is a finance question. How is this an ARPA request? I mean, it's a wonderful program. Does it come from ARPA funds or from the interest? How are we getting it into the ARPA? Thank you.
Actually, this is a fairly easy one. The board has already approved the original pilot program out of ARPA. So this was part of, I think it was 153,000, 155,000. So it clearly falls toward getting back to work, recovery. And so this would fall under the initial allocation. I think there's 2.4 million. Let me make sure of the number left. 2.435 million left in the initial allocation. You can take it from anywhere any one of the 3 buckets, but our recommendation would be the initial ARPA allocation. And that's where you have 2.4 million left.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Desart. Member you.
Thank you. Actually, my question was with regard to how you are recruiting students, but I believe you kind of answered that question already. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Member you. Member Cahill.
Quick question for Darlene. So the state of Illinois has a job path program, Illinois Job Path, and that's for colleges. And what that is very similar in that you take on an intern at your place of business, and the intern learns, they can take it for credit, and they learn your skills of your company. And then the state of Illinois actually reimburses the employer for a portion of what they pay that student. So your program is just a regional thing here in DuPage. Is there any state program that would be similar to the Illinois Job Path, or are we just starting out at this and hoping to grow throughout the state, and then maybe something turns into that?
I'm not aware of any program. We'd like to go eventually to the governor's office and talk to him about this program to see if we could do a pilot broader than just here in DuPage County, because if, as I mentioned, if it could work here, it could work elsewhere. We'd like to get them we'd like to get this on their radar screen because we know of nothing. We know of no funding that's really directly. There's some grants that are out there. But again, the issue is doing it school by school, business by business has always been the challenge. When you do it collectively from a region, you're providing, you know what I mean? You're providing greater resources available, and it's not putting the burden on the schools or on the businesses as well. So we'd love to see this. We've talked so long about pathways and careers. And I just feel like we've never really put the real strong, the money behind it. That's basically it at the state level. So we're just, again, we're saying if we can do this here, we'd like to scale it
Yes,
up
I
across
think
the
it's
state.
excellent. I fully support it. I'm just thinking down the line, maybe we can get some funding from the state of
Yeah.
Illinois to do this
Yeah,
also.
yeah, that's our step number 2, but that'll take a while. That's why we want to continue with this program at least. So if we get another year of funding for it, that'll give us that time to really build that momentum across the state.
Okay, thank you, Member
Thank you.
Cahill. So as the board, do we want to go ahead and move forward with this this program? Yeah, Member Desart? Oh, yes. Do we have show of hands? Yes. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Next, we have our 2023 DuPage County Precinct Map presentation. We're going to have Jason Blumenthal. Morning, Jason.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you. And good morning, everybody. Sorry. You'll see in front of you a packet of 10 maps and a memo. The memo is what was sent to you all about a month ago from Chair Conroy in regards to the remap process. And then the 10 sheets after that, the first will be the overall county map, and then the 9 townships by geolocation. So northwest corner and going downward from there. Today, there's 3 quick things that we'd like to cover. We'll be brief for this preliminary draft. The initial thing will be the overline and timeline of the process, which is outlined in the memo. The second will be restating the statutory requirements for the remap. And the third will be a brief demonstration on the online ArcGIS tool that you guys will have access to. Some of you might be aware of it. We did a little bit with it with the redistricting process, but we'll give you a brief demo. So today is step 1 in the process for remapping. What we have done at this time and what the map you'll see today is the GIS team has updated the voting record per person given by the election division on this map. And these are lines that you've very similar to what you've seen prior last year. So that is the part that you'll see. Over the next month, you'll have access to the online ArcGIS, and April 11th, we will return with any updates that you guys have suggested and or suggestions we've received from the state's attorney's office based off their review. And again, they've done a preliminary and we're working toward more. So at the April 11th meeting, that's when we'll have the front-facing portal released to where members of the public can comment. Much like the redistricting process, we intend to print the maps, put them in the atrium and or somewhere public throughout this building. There'll be an online portal people can see. They will be able to submit their comments or make comments as well, like we did with that. And then I will also have a couple where I'll sit in the room with the maps if members of the public have any questions. After that, we will return on May 9th with all the updates from comments. And then you guys will hopefully see what is a final draft, if you want to call it that, where you guys can indicate if there's any more changes are needed like that. Statutorily, we're not allowed to vote on it till June. So you will see the actual final vote in June, either the first or second meeting, depending on our time frame. Again, this is the tentative time frame. Obviously, we'll meet the needs of whatever the finance committee is, but that is our path going forward at the current juncture. So moving on to the next part, I just want to reiterate the requirements that occurred for the amendments to the election code. So the first being each precinct be as near practical 1,200 registered voters. Second, each precinct insofar as practicable is situated with a single congressional, legislative, representative, county board, or municipal ward district. Sorry, that was a lot, but trying to take that all into consideration. And the third point is each district shall be composed of contiguous territory and compact form is for the convenience of the electors. So essentially get as close to 1,200, try to be mindful of every single district throughout the county, which we have quite a few. And then the third being compact and contiguous, meaning it has to be together. It can't be sporadically placed around. So those are the requirements. But here's the key part of today's presentation. It'll be Tom Ricker taking over, but this is showing you the ArcGIS portal he has created. That's our mapping software we use here at the county. It's going to allow it to where you guys can zoom in, actually see where the precincts are. I know the maps are, it's great to have a physical copy in front of you, but sometimes you want to see where that border is. You'll be able to zoom in. And each of you will receive at the end of this meeting an email from the GIS team where it'll have your login. So you can actually go in, review these maps, zoom in closer, and you'll be able to actually make comments in regards to if there's something you need to see. So I'm going to turn it over to Tom to give a very brief demonstration on this. One other thing though, if you have specific questions about it, Tom and I are always available. Feel free to contact us. Diving into some of the technical things here is probably not the most convenient. I'd rather just come show you. So go ahead, Mr. Ricker.
Okay, well, thank you, Jason. Here what we have is the proposed voter precinct portal. What we'll do, like I said, we'll be sending out emails with the link to the site and the credentials so you can log in and have access to it. As you scroll through the portal here, you'll see various panels. Right here, we have the review and comment applications. Each of these are broken out to each of the townships throughout the county. As we scroll down further, we have what is called a dashboard, and we have the dashboard embedded here. So if you wish to interact here within the embedded map, you can do that. You can also go through and hold on here. Yeah, also go through here and open it up into a link that will open up into the dashboard itself. So with this dashboard, if you go zoom in, you'll see we also have what are called interactions with the dashboard. So if I select on a graph here, it'll filter the map and also change the graph and the count above here. So with this graph here, if I scroll over, I can rescale it and view the graph here. So if I go ahead then here in this graph also, I can then isolate out that particular precinct. If I want to reset it, I can just go ahead and quick reset. And if I zoom in here, you'll see we also have labels for each of the precincts. So as you scroll in here, you'll see the labels turn on with the number of the precinct and the actual voter count. Okay, that's the dashboard. If you go in here into the comments application, you'll go ahead and open that. And in this map here, we have the existing precincts and the proposed precincts. We also created for you a swipe tool. So if you want to zoom into a certain area, you can see what was before and after just by moving the little slider here. So you can see before and after. We also have the comment section here where you can place your comments. So we've got a little drop down with each of your name. Select the precinct. So in this case, we're in Wayne. The actual precinct number that you want to make a comment on. So let's say 5. If I want to search on the precinct, I can do a search. It'll search onto that precinct. If I want to do a markup, you're able to do a markup. So if you click on this tool here and just do a freehand, you can draw what you propose and then place your comment and then submit it.
One thing that there was actually a legitimate question there. Yes, each of you have an individual account for this. So as you
Yes.
submit, it does tie to you.
Yep. So here's your full. If you need to go to another township, you can also within the application do that as well. You can go and to another township as well within the app. And that's it. Also, oh, yes, one more thing to assist you. If you have any questions, we've also created within the application down below here a brief video to assist you in opening up the navigation of it.
So the key thing with that, yes, this was a brief reason is they have made a wonderful video of, you can see all the specifics. We didn't want to take up all your time in regards to that training aspect of it.
So in case you can just rewind, if you don't get something, just go back and, rewind it and see, it walks through each of the applications that I just showed you.
Perfect. So the next steps then in the next month, this is where we'll take any comments from you as you guys review it and give us staff direction if there's updates or what need to occur. And then we will compile that accordingly. And on April 11th, we'll present anything that we're directed by your committee.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have some questions. Member Zay, Member Garcia, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarze, and Member Evans. Tornatori.
Thank you. Jason, just a few things I saw off the top. I mean, these maps are great. Can we get a printout of numbers corresponding to the precinct? Say like Wayne number 1 will have 620. Sure. Because when Tom showed that graph, which was just alarming, there were some at 1,200, looked like some at 600, some, I mean, they're all over the
There is a
place.
span. I fully agree. And we can definitely get you that.
Yeah,
table.
because I think that would be the first areas you'd want to go
Sure.
look at. It's hard to see on a map where it is, like, why is one precinct at 1,200 ones, why precinct at 600? That will just give us some, and other people, obviously, the parties are going to want to know what's going on, and those will be the first concerns that come up. Also, I know it says in the memo, are we going to talk to the state's attorney and selecting a third party attorney just to oversee this, to make sure we're doing everything legally?
Yeah, we're going to discuss that at the end of this discussion. So
Okay.
once all the questions are answered, we'll see what the consensus of the board is, if they want to get somebody from outside.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Zay. Okay, Member Garcia.
Yeah, thank you. Members, I did ask my question regarding the amount of people, because I did see the variation in the amount of people, but also what was the deadline for comments on this? I know April 11th is when you want to present them.
April
so-
11th, we'd like to give updates. The week before would probably be realistic for us to make those changes.
April 4th
So
or
the
something.
April 4th on that committee day, but Tom and I can be flexible if something comes up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Garcia. Member Rutledge.
Thanks, Chair Chaplin. So, and the data that we're seeing here is not census data, but current data, correct?
This is registered voter data. Yeah,
Great.
this is exactly from the election division.
Because Warrenville added a ton of people after the census, so I have to
And
check
yeah,
that.
so this is, we got this data, what, a month ago? Is that what it's, maybe, okay, so yeah, this is updated from the past election.
Thank you, Member Rutledge. Member Schwarze.
I was just curious, Jason, what's the timeline that we're going to get that program?
By the end of today, we'll be
Oh,
sent to you.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
all set. So you'll just get an email with all the credentials. I'll be sending those out this afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much.
Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for Tom. I saw the slider. Is there any way to turn on both at the same time to kind of superimpose the blue lines over the red lines to see?
We can create another panel that it'll have that where both you can turn them on and off. So
Okay,
you could
that
have the
might be-
slider, but we can create another panel in the app. So if you just don't want to use the slider, but turn them on and off, we can do that as well.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Member Evans. Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't mean to bring up a sore subject, but the reason we're talking about this now as opposed to last year is because we had significant pushback from both political parties, the chairman, the precinct people, who had very little, if no input on this. And nowhere in the memo do I see any involvement from them. And I know that we're all going to get questions from our parties when we leave here, and someone's got to tell me what that involvement, if any, is going to be, because we're going to have to answer to a lot of people.
Thank you, Member Tornatori. Thank you for the question. So first of all, looking throughout the state, how they did these precinct maps. The standard was that the clerk submitted the map and the county board approved it, and that was it. There were no comments by precinct committeemen, no political parties involved, nothing to that matter. And that is really how it should be done. But what we're going to do is we're going to put these maps after the board approves them in April. We're going to put these online starting in April. So April through May, the public will have the opportunity to look at the maps online, just like us. They can go in. I don't know that we'll have them move lines, but they can make comments. And then we'll take those into effect. We cannot have 600 PCs giving their recommendations, but I think it's a good idea that the PCs look at these, discuss it with their party chairs, which I was going to talk to each party chair. If they have any concerns, because then the Republican Party chair and the Democratic Party chair have to agree on those precinct changes, because usually there's committee people involved in those precincts. But the normal process is that this is done strictly by the clerk with the county board's approval.
Well, with all due respect, there's nothing normal about this. This is new. So, and I'm not talking about 600 people.
Right.
I'm talking about party chairs.
Yes, and
Somehow they need to be brought in.
absolutely, they will be. And I am going to be talking with Member Zay after this, and Ken Beal, the chair of the Democratic Party, because I want to make sure that they're comfortable with some things as well. But, you know, we have to get these done. And I like to see them done correctly. Right now, the map in front of us is a legal conforming map, from my understanding. The state's attorney has reviewed it. And
They're continuing to review it too, to
Continue
ensure
to-
compliance.
but-
So
but it appears to be a map that is a compliance. And any lines that are moved, remember, those could have a compliance issue then. So we have to make sure. And there are a couple precincts that are smaller. We discussed this on Friday. I think it was Friday. But just geographically, there were some that had to be made smaller, and geographically, there were some that had to be a little larger to keep within the confinements of the legislation of the law. Correct?
yeah. And you bring up a very good point. And members, I believe you said something about the smaller size precincts. There's a few in regards to congressional and how other numbers work out throughout a township. That's the amount of people that are left that can fit within it. But again, we'll continue to review and tweak. And I know the state attorney's office was kind enough to say there is a few little adjustments that they saw too, that they're like, hey, let's look at this. So we'll continue to review, refine, and ensure the appropriate maps. Yes.
Yeah, and these maps, they are really for the convenience of the voter. So we have to keep that in mind. It's not really about, you know, the political part. It really is about the convenience of the voter too. And that's why we're doing this. So if there are any other questions, Member Guston?
Well, I was just curious, would the district board members for each district be the only ones that should, you know, provide input or comments, or can I mess with Zay's precincts if I wanted to put a smile on his face? Is it limited to those
I mean, it is that your guys'
board members
it's
that
your
represent
directive.
that district? Let's put it that way.
It would be your guys' directive. It's whatever I receive directive wise from the committee.
Thank you, Member Guston. Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
presentation, Jason. Appreciate it. Okay, let me find my agenda here. We have so many papers here.
Oh, yes, yeah, hold on.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the third party. So
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah,
the
thank
third
you, Nick.
party.
Sorry about that. So we talked about, I know Members A and I discussed possibly bringing in a third party, election lawyer that can maybe, once we have our map done in April, or even before that, we can have an election attorney come in and just review it, just to make sure that it looks good and fair and things of that nature. And we don't think it would be much more than what, 25,000?
I don't even think. Yeah.
Less than 25,000.
I'll defer to our state's attorney over there if they have any.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, less than 25,000. So Members A, go ahead.
During redistricting, I know we had selected Bert Olson's firm. I think they did a great job, very bipartisan. I think he got along with all the members of the committee, and just as a safeguard, just to make sure, you know, to bring that. I mean, obviously I talked to state's attorney because they did bring him in as a special assistant state's attorney at that time. So I just to make sure we're going through the process of doing this, just a double check, another set of eyes, a third party eyes to take a look at it and make sure we're doing everything correct.
I was just saying, we had contemplated that, and that would be.
Okay, thank you.
So is it the consensus of the board to move forward with that third party, just to have an extra set of eyes? Okay, yeah. Member Ozark, did you have a question, or you're just raising your hand? Okay, all right, great, thanks. So that gives staff direction then?
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
Thanks, thank you, Nick. Okay, with that, we move on with public comment. We have any public comment this morning? So we have no public comment. My chair remarks were, I noticed a public comment that came in yesterday afternoon through through our portal, asking about, telling us to remember to use our microphones. So when even if we're making a motion or seconding, please just try to remember to use your microphone so that it's caught and people know who are making those motions. And with that, we move on to the approval of the Finance Committee meetings from Tuesday, February 28th. Can I have a motion by Member Zay, second by
Second.
Member Garcia? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We have budget transfers. Can I have a motion on budget transfer
So moved. Culver.
3/14/2023 from various companies and accounting units? Motion by Member Augustine, second by Member Childress. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. We have procurement requisitions. We have judicial and public safety. I'm going to go to Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move on item JPSP 004723, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Business IT Source, Inc. for the renewal purchase of IBM Passport Advantage for the period of April 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2024, for a total contract amount of $94,818.06.
Have a motion by Member Evans, a second by Member Shorzy. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Member Evans. We move on to Public Works. Member Garcia.
Okay, I move to discharge the Public Works Committee as to agenda item AB1 FMP 005123.
Second.
I have a motion by Member Garcia and a second by Member Ozak to discharge committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Garcia.
I move for approval for recommendation for the approval of contract to Commercial Mechanical Inc. to provide repairs and maintenance for the tunnel pipe supports for the county campus for facilities management for the period of March 14th, 2023 through November 30th, 2023,
Second.
for a total contract not to exceed $58,000.
I have a motion by Member Garcia, second by Member Covert. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Garcia.
I move for approval to recommendation for FMP 004823 for the approval of a contract to Martum Construction Inc. to install an asphalt outdoor visitation recreational area for the 422 Child Advocacy Neutral Exchange Center for social distancing in the amount of $211,502 and to install accessible parking for persons with disability in front of the 421 JTK building for the amount of $73,755 for the period March 15th, 2023 through November 30, 2023, for a total contract not to
Second.
amount $285,257.
Motion by Member Garcia. Motion second by Member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Garcia.
I move for approval to recommendation for FMP 004923 for the approval of a contract to Gerke Technology Group Inc. to furnish and deliver water treatment chemicals as needed for campus facilities for facilities management for the period of March 23rd, 2023 through March 22nd, 2024, for a contract total amount not to exceed $90,000.
Motion by Member Garcia, second by Member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Garcia.
I move for approval for PW-C CO 000223 amendment to the original county contract of 5692-0001 serve issued to Fair Graham and Associates LLC to add verbiage to support loans from the IEPA Water Pollution Control Loan Program. No change in contract total.
Motion by Member Garcia, second by Member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Garcia.
I move for approval to PWCO 000323 amendment to County Contract 6163-0001 serve issued to Curry Motors Frankfurt Inc. for one dump body 2023 Ford F550 XL truck and two utility body 2023 Ford F350 XL trucks for public works and stormwater for a change order to increase the contract in the amount of $39,293. An increase of 16.99%.
Motion by Member Garcia, second by Member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Garcia.
I move for approval to PWP 002723, a recommendation for the approval of a contract to Dryden Equipment Inc. for 4 filament M306 LP wastewater treatment plant effluent water strainers to be installed at the Woodridge Green Valley Treatment Plant and Knollwood wastewater treatment plant facilities for Public Works for the period of March 14th, 2023 through November 30th, 2023, for a total contract amount not to exceed $82,427.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Ozog. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Garcia.
And finally, I move for a motion to approve PWP 002823, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Home Depot USA Inc. for miscellaneous maintenance, repair, and operation supplies for public works facilities on an as needed basis for the period of March 17, 2023 to November 30th, 2026, for a total contract amount not to exceed $135,000.
Motion by member Garcia, second by member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Garcia. We move on to stormwater. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 33-23. Recommendation approval of a contract issued to AT&T Business to provide high-speed internet services for the county flood control facilities for a period of March 14th, 2023 through March 14th, 2026. Contract not to exceed $86,675.10.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member
Madam
Zay. We move on to technology. Member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on item TECO 000623, amendment to County Contract 3866-0001 serve issued to Telecom Innovations Group for the procurement of hardware, software maintenance, and labor to replace the county phone system and to provide enhanced support and premium software assurance to increase the contract amount in the amount of $21,475.50 to add software licensing and insurance in order to meet the increased headcount in the public defender and state's attorney's office, resulting in a new contract amount of $1,239,448.30.
Have a motion by member Yu, second by member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on TEP 005223, which is the recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Insight Public Sector for the purchase of laptops, desktops, monitors, and docking stations for information technology for the period of March 14, 2023 through 2024 for a contract total amount of $133,650. This contract is pursuant to the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act, Omnia Partners IT Products and Services Contract.
Motion by member Yu, second by member Childress. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Yu. We move on to transportation. Member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of DTO 004823, ordinance for a highway authority benefits agreement for County Highway 9 Lamont Road and County Highway 33 75th Street.
Have a motion by member Ozog, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Ozog.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 005523, awarding resolution to A-Lamp Concrete Contractors Incorporated for the County Highway 3 Warrenville Road sidewalk improvement from I-88 to Illinois 53, Section 20, Sidewalk 05 SW for an estimated county cost of $309,141 per low bid.
Second.
Motion by member Ozog, second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We're going to move on to finance resolutions, and I'm going to call on member Zay and member Kajusie's absence, but I just wanted to also really quick recognize our students from Hinsdale Central High School that are here. I forgot to mention that in my opening remarks. Welcome. I'm glad you guys all were good today, because I was going to say we got to be on our best behavior because we have our high school kids here, but member Zay, you did a great job. So there's still time. There's still time. So go ahead. Thank you, member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 88-23, acceptance appropriation home investment partnership grant, American Rescue Plan, the amount of $6,179,987.
A motion by member Zay, second by member Schwarzy. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 89-23, correction of a scrivener's error in a resolution FIR 77-23 Care Center.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Yu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Madam Chair, I move on FIR 90-23, correction of a scrivener's error in resolution FIR 28-23 Sheriff's Office.
Have a motion by member Zay, second by member Cahill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move on FIR 91-23, approval and amendment to resolution FIR 75-23 for an amended grant agreement for Poise for Success for use of ARPA funds.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Member Zay.
Madam Chair, move on FIR 93-23, additional appropriation for the Adult Redeploy Illinois Program Grant 2023 intergovernmental agreement 192-381. The amount from 354,223 to 409,450,000.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Guston. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, member Zay. We move on to informational, and I'm just going to call member Zay again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place on file A, payment of claims, B, appointments, C, grant proposal notifications.
Have a motion to receive place and file items A, B, and C under informational by member Zay and a second by member Schwarzy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We move on to old business. Do you have any old business? Member Rutledge?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to make a suggestion that when we're motioning or seconding, that rather than hit our microphone every time, maybe we just stick our hand up in the air, because if you got 5 people trying to do it, you're never going to get to the microphone anyway. So that will give the people at home that are watching a visual. So just a suggestion.
That could be a suggestion, but I still encourage to use the microphones because it would be nice to get that on the record. And I do announce who's made the motion in second. So, but we did get the comment, that people should be using their microphone. So thank you. I appreciate that. Any new business? Okay, I am advised that we do have executive session. So pursuant to the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120/2 collective negotiating matters. I'll ask those associated, not associated with the executive session to exit the room. So we have to have everybody leave the room. And
So move.
I'll take motion to go into executive session by member Zay, second by member Garcia. Can we have a roll call?
Member Cahill, member Chaplin,
Aye.
member Childress, member Covert, member Desart, member Eckhoff, member Evans,
Aye.
member Galassi, member Garcia, aye, member Guston, member Krajewski, member LaPlante, member Ozad, member Rutledge, member Schwarzy, member Tornatori, member Yu,
Aye.
member Zay.
Okay, I'll just wait for the doors to close and we'll
If you're on Zoom and you shouldn't be on the executive session, please leave Zoom. They never do.
Okay, can we have a roll call to establish a quorum in executive session?
All right, member Cahill, member Chaplin,
Here.
member Childress, member Covert, member Desart,
Here.
member Eckhoff, member Evans,
Here.
member Galassi, member here, member Guston, member Krajewski, member LaPlante, member Ozad, member Rutledge,